Yes, Supremacy Clause. That gets battered around, and it's a word that probably carries a lot of different interpretations of what it means to different people. And when we say, oh, supremacy, that means the top. Okay, I can't question that. What does our Constitution say about the Supremacy Clause, Raymond?
Thank you. Well, I'm sure what I have to say will not be real entertaining, but nonetheless, I hope it can be enlightening and we can find a little bit more understanding about our Constitution, because I believe it's critical. Has been and always will be that people understand this Constitution, which is our guide to liberty. And so I'd like to deal tonight with the Supremacy Clause, which is Article 6 of the Federal Constitution. And it's called many times the supreme law of the land, and tells about it. And I think to be able to understand and to clarify Article 6, we must go back very briefly to Article 1, Section 8, which gives the enumerated powers of the federal government and of Congress, and of the powers that's been delegated to them by the people and by the states. All laws must be made by Congress, that meaning the House of Representatives and the Senate. And it must be in compliance with and consistent with and in pursuit of these delegated powers of the Constitution. In Article 1, Section 8 spells out very clearly these powers, the delegated powers of Congress. Remember, we went through those last time, which is about 18 to 25 different powers, depending on whether you want to slice it a little or leave it as it is. And it depends on that as to how many there really is. But in Article 6, I'd like to share with you that, the writing of that article. And one of the key phrases that we want to pick up in this clause is in the pursuance thereof. Because if we don't understand that, then we do not understand Article 6. In order for a law to become a supreme law of the land, it must be passed by both houses of legislative branches and signed into law by the President. It must be consistent with and in the pursuit of the delegated powers given to Congress by the states and by the people. Article 6 says all, and there's a little bit here that doesn't pertain to what I want to share with you, but it says in Article 6, all debts contracted and engagements entered into before the adoption of this Constitution shall be held valid against the United States under this Constitution as under the Confederation. This Constitution and the laws of the United States shall be made in pursuance thereof. That meaning that the laws have to be made in the pursuance and being consistent with the Constitution. And all treaties made or which shall be made under the authority of the United States shall be the supreme law of the land. And the judges in every state shall be bound thereby, anything in the Constitution or the laws of any state to the contrary notwithstanding. So we see that these laws that they make must be in pursuance of the Constitution. And they cannot be made outside of their jurisdiction or of the delegated powers that have been given them. Anything outside of the delegated powers, anything outside of the Constitution, laws that they make, they're invalid laws. And they're unconstitutional. And it said all state laws and Constitution must be in compliance with and consistent with all the delegated powers given to the U.S. Congress. So again, the state laws cannot be repugnant to the federal Constitution, and our judges must uphold that. But all the laws that are made by our Congress must be in pursuant to the Constitution and within the bounds of those delegated powers. Outside of that, then we do not have law. So if Congress acts outside of the delegated powers and makes laws that are not in compliance with their delegated powers or in the pursuit of the Constitution, it is an invalid law and cannot be in any way a supreme law of the land. I'd like to go to the 10th Amendment. And it says that the powers not delegated to the United States by the Constitution, nor prohibited by it to the states, are reserved to the states respectively or to the people. I think that's pretty easily understood. I'd like to share with you again, as I did some time ago, about our state constitution. And it goes right down this same line of thinking, and right down this very avenue that we're talking about. Article 2 of the Colorado Constitution and the Bill of Rights, he said, in order to assert our rights, acknowledge our duties, and proclaim the principles upon which our government is founded, we declare. Vestment of political power. All political power is vested in and derived from the people. All government of right originates from the people and is founded upon their will only and is instituted solely for the good of the whole. Section 2, people may alter or abolish form of government. The people of this state have the sole and exclusive right of governing themselves. A very powerful statement. I'd like to share that again. The people of this state have the sole and exclusive right of governing themselves. As a free, sovereign, independent state, and to alter and abolish their constitution and form of government whenever they may deem it necessary to their safety and happiness, provided such change be not repugnant to the Constitution of the United States. Unfortunately today, many of our elected officials have relinquished their responsibility and their authority to the executive and the judicial branches of government, and therefore we live under an unconstitutional and administrative law. Perhaps if we would examine very carefully, most of the laws that's passed today are unconstitutional or they're only administrative law. So, in that, we find that, and I want to just go back again to this 6th article again and share with you just a little bit more and add just a little bit more that I'd like to say here this evening. Farther in this article it says, the senators and representatives before mentioned and the members of the several state legislators and all executive and judicial officers, both of the United States and of the several states, shall be bound by oath or affirmation to support this Constitution, but no religious test shall ever be required as a qualification to any office or public trust under the United States. And so this oath of office, I think, is a very weighty matter and that we need to give consideration to. In our Constitution, it tells us that for certain crimes that elected officials can be and should be impeached. Do we all remember that? That they should be impeached and that they're worthy of impeachment for treason, for bribery, for high crimes and misdemeanors. I don't think it's too hard to understand bribery, treason, perhaps misdemeanors, but what about high crimes? Let me share with you a thought this evening. If a man stands before you and I this evening and takes an oath before God that I will protect, preserve this Constitution, and I will uphold it, and I will protect the rights of the people. And this man says that and swears this oath before God and before the people. If he breaks it, is it not a high crime? When he allows those people that he is serving and that he is there to represent to be bound by the chains of tyranny and to be brought under a forceful government, and they lose their rights, they lose their private property, they suffer fines and they go to prison, is that not a high crime against the people that he serves? If a man commits those and does not keep the oath of his office, he is no longer fit to serve in that office and should be removed. Thank you.
Raymond, I have a question. It'll be fast. Okay, so there's the legislative, executive, judicial branch, and they have enumerated power. What happens when these branches appoint these agencies to do their dirty work? Like BLM, Forest Service, Department of Education. These are the people that's making the laws. Who is going to defend us against these organizations, or whatever you want to call them?
Well, again, I mentioned that they have today, in many cases, relinquished their responsibility and their authority. And in that, I think we the people need to hold them accountable. And if so, they are no longer fit to serve in that office. That's my personal view of those things. And I believe when we take an oath before God in the presence of the people, and we tell them and swear to them that we're going to protect their rights, their property, and the Constitution of the United States, and if we break that oath, we have committed a high crime against the people, and we're no longer fit to serve.